Incredible afternoon, incredible greetings, depending on where, when, and where you are watching this. Hello, everyone. All right. So, how are you guys doing? Normally, I would do my Q&A on Wednesdays, but I had a client that came over. Well, I will say a student that came over because we had to do some stoles and then some other things, so I wasn't able to do my live. And I wasn't. Last time I asked were there any questions and no one really had questions, so I was kind of like sort of not going to do the Q&As, but I wanted to come on because this is a topic that came up based off of a comment or a post inside of a group. So I wanted to address that and just kind of put into context my reply, and then I guess debunk some myths about all stoles being the same size and that there is no need for an actual template, that all you have to do is a rectangle. Okay. So we're going to discuss that. And of course, if you guys have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. But that is going to be the basis of this particular training. And it's going to be on whether or not there's actually a difference in the sizes for stoles when you're making them, especially if you're doing them with a trim on it. And the other thing with the stoles is I've seen quite a few of them where the design is going way up too high, guys. Like we're going to need to bring that down a little bit because the names or the pictures will end up really high on their shoulders or behind their necks. So I want to go over that as well when it comes to the graduation stoles. All right. So if you are interested in either making a stole for yourself, which is what my student did today, or if you're trying to market them to be able to sell them, this is going to be a very helpful video for you. So stick around. All right. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you have not done so already or watching over on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. Ooh, excuse me. And hit the notification bell so that you're notified whenever I drop new content, okay? I have to come over here because we need to change the audience on this. Oh, wow. I am blurry. What the heck is going on? Is my picture showing blurry for you guys on YouTube, on Facebook? It is showing very much so blurry. Dang it. What is going on with this internet? Yep, it is definitely saying my Wi-Fi is not stable. Oh gosh. Dang it. It's blurry. At least it's showing blurry. Let me check. I mean, if it's showing blurry on Facebook, I'm pretty sure it's showing blurry on YouTube. And it is definitely telling me that my Wi-Fi is not stable. I'll probably try and do this again. Since I'm live, I'll just go ahead and talk about it. I know that it is blurry. So if you are watching the playback of this, come back, check the channel to see if the updated one is on. I don't know why it's doing this. You know what? I'm going to see if I switch it over to the other, because I'm done printing. I'm glad I actually printed out my file. So I'm going to try and switch over to the other internet to see if that helps it some. All right, so the bars went up a little bit. So hopefully that will clear this up so that it's not blurred. So see, someone says, yes, I found out the hard way, but made it work. So let me just check one more time to see how this is showing up. And I also forgot to share this out. So, it's still kind of blurry. Hopefully it clears itself up. And it's not the camera, it's the way that it is outputting. And it might just be StreamYard. It may not even be my internet, because my internet is showing full bar. So I think it might be a StreamYard thing. It might be a whole lot of folk over on StreamYard. So, okay, no, it's better. All right, I see it now. It's much better. All right, so let me go ahead and hit share on this. As I'm sharing, go ahead and let me know who's watching. Say hey, drop those peacocks, or just give me a wave and let me know who's watching. Hit that share button as well, guys. If you're able to share content like this into groups, be sure to go ahead and share that as well. So we're going to go ahead and share to a group. All right. Okay, there we go. So we're all shared out, officially shared out. So let me go ahead and do my introduction. So I am Shakia, the professor of HSINK365. We are the home of the Honestly Speaking brand of products. We carry Sublimation ink, pigment ink, sublimation paper that allows you to sublimate as low as 365 degrees, as fast as 30 seconds, which I'm actually, although I've done a ton of videos when it comes to tumblers, I actually have 2 tumblers that I have to do. So be sure to come on back if you want to see me do these 2 tumblers. I'm going to do them live on Facebook and TikTok. And YouTube. So be sure to come on back for that one. I just like kind of, reinforcing my technique for the tumblers to avoid getting any of the ghosting lines and the white spots and stuff. So be sure to come back for that one. Or if you're watching the playback of this, go ahead and look for that video over on Honestly Speaking. If you're watching this video on Silaholics Anonymous's YouTube, be sure to go over to Honestly Speaking, subscribe over there, hit the bell, and then look for that video on the latest one I'm going to do, the tumblers. So, oh, also, Silaholics Anonymous, where I teach you how to use Silhouette Studio and 365 Creative Academy, where I help you to unlock your creativity in a wide variety of online trainings and classes. All right. So like I said, if you're just jumping on, we are going to talk about the differences in sizes for graduation stoles. And I'll, being, transparent in... So someone posted a comment, well, they made a post in a group asking about templates to be able to put a trim such as this on a tumbler, right? So we can see here, this is a perfectly aligned trim. It's the same top to bottom as far as the spacing on it. This side maybe a little bit off on the top, but for the most part, it looks pretty even all the way around, right? So they were asking about, doing a tumbler template and being able to put a trim on it. So my comment was, because some people were saying all you have to do is just put a rectangle, right? So I said, well, if you are doing the style that has a curve to the neck area, you cannot simply do a rectangle because it's not going to line up. It has a curve. It's coming inward. So your trim part, when you go to press it, is going to be way up to the side. And I'm going to give you guys a visual. So I was like, you need to have an exact template. I even walked through how to do the exact template. So I said, what I do is I use my scanner, I scan it in sections, and then I bring it into Silhouette Studio kind of line them back up, and then I do a trace on it. That way I have an exact template of that particular stole. Especially for the ones with the curve. If it's the one that's kind of straight, it's a little bit different when it comes to that. I mean, you can probably get away with doing just a rectangle, but you definitely need that. So I even said, I was like, you're going to scan it. Once you get it lined up, you're going to trace it, and then you can put your trim on it by doing an internal offset, or you can do a stroke or an outline, make the outline as thick as you want it to be. Just make sure that it's sitting to the front, right? And sometimes that can be a lot for some people. Like when I break down how to actually make something, if you aren't quite familiar with your design software, I might as well be speaking Greek, like speaking a foreign language, even though I'm writing out all the instructions. So if you're not quite familiar with, how to even use the scan function on your Epson print, on your Epson machine, how to bring in these, how to actually line them up to make sure that, it is the correct size. Because remember, you're doing it in sections. And then once let's say you get that part done, once it's time to trace it, or once it's time to do that offset and really just that trim, some people would rather not deal with it, and they rather just purchase a template, right? So I said that. I gave all the instructions. If you don't know who I am, I understand there's a lot of people out there who, as soon as they learn something, or they only give help, like basically for people to sign up for classes, or everything is pay me, pay me, pay me, pay me. If you don't know me by now, hopefully you get to know me, because that's definitely not who I am. I share more free content that I really could be charging for everything. I've been in this game so long. I am one of the best in this industry as far as designing, setting it up, and even just being able to explain it for others to understand. So I'm always going to give value first, especially if I'm in somebody else's group. I don't automatically go and just say, oh, no, you don't have to do this, whatever. You can go buy a template, or even if it's not mine, I'm not going to automatically send you to Etsy. I'm all about, everyone knows, like my whole thing is, I just wish everyone would embrace becoming your own designer, and that there are certain things that you really can do yourself, and you can save yourself a few coins versus, always going out to get a template once you just learn a design software. And I think that, especially for creating templates, Silhouette Studio is the absolute best. I mean, it's free, and you can create amazing templates from the free software. This is not a sponsored video. I've never spoken to those people a day in my life. I just really like the software and what it brings to the table as far as designing, especially for newbies. So I'm always going to recommend it. And it's just about learning the software. So for me, I'm always going to encourage you to design it yourself before just going to get a template. Now, I could go and make templates all day long, and I can make a whole lot of passive income creating a template. But I am all about teaching others how to design and be self-sufficient. So when I comment, I try to stay true to that, right? So I commented, I gave her all the instructions, and then at the end I said, or you can just buy the template. And I put LOL, because I've run into that where I'll go and I'll do all that. And because written out, it seems like so much information. It's like, okay, I don't think I can do this. And, most times people really can do it. Just have to either see the visual, or if it's just a time constraint issue, right? So I made that comment, and then someone came and said, oh, nah, that ain't true. You can do it. It can be done. Somebody else already proved, they showed a picture and proved that it can be done without doing all of this stuff, right? So I saw that, and I went to go comment, and I saw that I was muted for 24 hours. And I'm like, I gave the answer, right? It's not like I was just trying to the person posted it as like an anonymous post. Like they didn't put their name or anything like that or whatever. And so I gave the full on instructions, and then someone came and challenged me. And no, so I was able to comment to that when I was like, well, no, the person that posted their picture, if you look at it, it is a straight stole. And then I kind of went back and I saw that I was muted, and I'm just like, I don't understand why groups do this. Like, I've been providing value in your group. I'm never one that just says, go to my products. Like, I answer questions freely. So I don't really understand, why this happens. But I went back, and so they said, prove it. All of the stoles are different. I mean, all the stoles are the same. The neck, that part is just for the neck. But they all can be done with a rectangle. And so she said, prove it. All right, cool. I'm all about show and tell. So that's what we're going to talk about in this live training, is that there really is a difference. They're not all created equal. Even when you have ones that are like the straight ones, only because I actually just ordered some, because ours are being, they're should be here this week sometime, or like at the latest beginning of next week. But I had to order some from Amazon. And I actually had to create yet another template, because the ones that I got, even though they said 72, they are actually 70-inch stoles, and the sizing is slightly different. So I had to go and create yet another template for the 70 no curve. Then I have the 72 no curve. These are the ones with the V cut. Then I have the curve with the V. And I am tempted to order the ones that have the just straight line to it, and make a template for that. Probably won't be in time for this season, but because I don't even know where to get them from, because I didn't see them on Amazon. But there is a style where it's like it's just a straight cut versus the V at the bottom. So all these things are different, and it really is better for you to make a template for the stoles that you are actually ordering, because they're all going to be different. So I want to show a visual first. Oh, they're all over there. But at the end of the day, I said all of that to say, if you don't know me, please know, like, let this be noticed that Shakia is never here to take from anyone, to scam anyone, to get you to buy my templates. I'm always going to encourage you to design first. I'm never going into anyone's group just to poach your members. I'm always going to provide value first. And be able to answer questions, because I just like sharing my knowledge. Some people call it cocky. Some people say I am one of the best in this. The best. It's not very much that you can, very many questions that are asked that I don't have an answer to, or because I know how to properly research it, I could give you an answer within like 24, 48 hours, because I will kind of like look into it. So just want to put that disclaimer out there that never is Shakia, never is Shakia one to like just try and poach your people to make money, because HS Inc. 365, the company, we do pretty good for ourselves. Our products speak for itself. Our classes at 365 Creative Academy speaks for itself. I'm online a lot. I do my own marketing. So I'm never going to go to someone's group like, okay, this is just free ground for me to get new customers. Like, that's never. All right. So this was the one that I got many, many years ago from Glow's Custom Creation. I think is where I got these from. Well, through her, and then got some from China. So as you can see, there is a curve to this. So you can clearly see it's narrow here and it widens out. So there is a distinct curve to this style. If I hold it up to this one, which let's make sure that it's the right way. You can, which side is it on? You can see that curve, right? So just from this, visually, you can see that if you were to do a rectangle and your trim was over here, it will never reach this style. It will never get, because this is a rectangle. I'm going to show it on Silhouette Studio, but if I made a rectangle, this stole, that's a straight one with no curve. So see, you can even see the difference here. It's straight all the way down. And even with this, it was still a little bit off, because it's not, you see, it's a little bit thinner on this side than it is on this side, but it's straight all the way down. So if you just made a box where you go and you just measure it from side to side, and you just made a box, if you're going that way, even for this, like measure from like the widest point, measure in a couple different places so that it can be a little bit more accurate. Because if you measure this one from side to side here or from the top, it's not the same at the bottom. So you can see there's a difference in width. So make sure if you're going to just do the box that you are measuring from the widest point, and then that box is going to come way out to here. So if you're trying to do a trim, once it gets to the top, it's going to start to curve and it's going to flow off of it. And at some point, you will not have the trim on your stove. If you use a template that was made for this style and you have the curved one, and here's also the difference between me and a lot of other instructors and trainers or coaches or whatever you want to call them, whatever you want to call it, is the testing phase for me, right? When I did this one, it wasn't for an order. It's about testing templates and like doing different things or whatever. So with this one, this was once I changed the template. So you can see this goes right to the top edge, nice clean line. We have an even black line around it. But on this side, this is what happens when you put the tapered one on it. You see how it does not line up. Stoves are different sizes. They are not all created equal. So when I'm saying this, it is not to get you to buy my template or whatever. Like, I am not someone that has dealt with just one. So if you only dealt with one style, then that's all you know. But not like I have this one, which is a no curve 72. This also does not have a curve. However, look at the bottom. This is shorter. So unless the person you are learning from has tried different ways or have had experience with different products, they may not know that there is a difference. But I utilize different products. I order from different places so that I can bring this information. So hopefully this answers the question that they're not all created equal. They are different. Even with the ones that are not tapered, like this one right here, because it's 72, the tip of it comes out further. It's not that this is just shorter. The 72-inch one is also slightly wider. And then so I'm actually about to add, because I had to, I end up ordering these, so I had to create a template for it. So I'm actually about to add the one for the 70 to my vault, which I did add the 70. Someone's asking about that. It was in a weird spot, so I made it where it's its own download. So I just added that one, and then I'm going to do the one for the 70. Like I said, the only one I don't have is the one that is a straight line, an A line, but I do have this one. And so all three will end up being on the site or in the vault, but they are not the same, guys. Like, as you can see, oh, it's right here. And these are all 70s. And then when it comes to 60s, you know, they're also different. So you can't just like purchase a 60-inch and then try and make it work for a 70, or purchase a 70 and make it work for a 60-inch, because where you put your design at and you're sizing it to fit the whole thing, and then you put it on there, and it's either going to be too short or it's going to take up more space. So it's going to be too long and things are going to get cut off. So these are 3 different 70-inch stoves. So this one, these 2 are 70s. Okay. This is tapered. This is a curve. This is no curve. It's really straight. it's like it actually, this one actually has like, it's not this is not a curve, but this is slightly tapered. If I fold this in half, I'm going to put it to the edge, you can see that it actually, hold on, let me line this side up. So you can see that it's actually bigger. So these are still tapered. None of them are a full on rectangle, like a straight up and down rectangle. They are still tapered. That's why on mine, I don't necessarily say tapered. I say no curve. And then the other one is like the one that has the curve to it. But even these are slightly tapered at the top compared to the bottom. So it's never going to be a straight rectangle. So even if you made a rectangle that's the width of here, once you got to the top and you did a trim, your trim will end up being skinnier at the top than it is at the bottom. Okay. All right. So, like Scar said, is that a challenge? Let's see. Hey. That's not what I was trying to click on. Your techniques for tumblers are amazing. It helped me so much. Thank you. You're amazing. I love your channel and appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, Princess. True. I just made a stole and the design was too big for my stole. I made it from a template. Like a template meaning someone gave you one that was just a box, like, or one of our templates, because those are different also. So that's why I just added the 72. Well, I put it where it's supposed to be at. And I'm about to add the one for I'm going to call it, because it's like no curve and then it is still taper. So I'll change the name and probably make it taper 70-inch. Yes, they are different because the ones I sell are tapered. Okay. I got it from Amazon. Will you share the vendor for the ones that has the least curve? So I got those from Amazon. So I don't remember. I don't have it in front of me. Like who I just ordered from Amazon, and I didn't even realize that it wasn't going to have a curve when I got it. So it was not like I was going out looking for ones that had a curve, didn't have a curve. I just ordered for whatever's going to be here via Prime. And when I got that one, I realized it was actually 72 inches, it was 70 inches, not 72. But if I'm not mistaken, the listing said 72. That's why it's always good to measure, like no matter what, always measure the templates. Measure your stoles or any item. And if you can, make your own template if it's like for a specific size for something. All right. So let me just kind of give you a visual here on Silhouette Studio. Okay. So this is our template, which is the 70-inch. It's a 70-inch curve. And so if we have a rectangle here, right? So there's that. And then you do it, let's say you do an internal offset. If you want it just along the edge. So we're just going to do it internal offset. I'm going to make that like 0.5. Actually, no, I will probably need that to be 1 inch. So it can be 0.5 like inward. So do you see how on here, I'm going to take my transparency down some. On one side, it will kind of go up, but once it got up to the top, it's going to come inward like that. And then on this side, you're going to miss a whole section because it curves inward. And then you have this little piece here at the top where it'll, so even if you try and manipulate it to bring this side over, I'm just going to kind of like just move this. It's never going to line up, because even if you try and like curve this side to come over, you're taking away how much will show on this side. Now, if you look at like when you have an actual one where you need the actual shape of it, it even makes it to where in the back, it's going like that notch or that trim is going to line up. Even if it is, oh, well, this one actually did, well, that's how I realized this one was wrong. Because when I did the trim on this one, I actually did it wrong. So when I redid it, I wish I would have taken a picture. So if you don't, right? So what I ended up doing with this one was when I got the size of it, I just tried to move my trim from one to the other and then just make it straight. Well, what happened was it made it to where my sides didn't line up and they weren't even. But I've since fixed that. I went through the whole process of creating my trim so that now this lines up. Now, if you're just going straight down, I mean, the rectangle might work if you want this result where it's just going straight down. But or like this one, you see, it's just going straight down. But if you want it like, oh wait, none of these have it going. But if you want the full V, you need to have the template, because you trying to measure to make your own V, if it's not like you didn't make it where it's the right height, one was too far too, you're not going to have that where it's going to have a perfect V around the bottom. So you need to have a template and know how to even set it up. If you want to do it yourself and you don't want to purchase a template. Now, the next thing is I see so many people bringing their design or their names all the way like up in this area. When you put this on, it also depends on like where you want it to sit. If you want it to kind of come down and kind of be right at the chest, you'll come down a little bit lower. But if you have a lot of information that you're putting on, you may need to go a little bit higher. But even with going like here, it's still underneath the shoulder blade. If you go up too high and you're putting your design all the way to the top, you're essentially putting that here and going around the neck. It's about 10 and a half inches from the top of it to like a good place to place your design. So anywhere from 10 and a half and lower, up to like 11, because 11 most likely would put like here on like the average person. So try not to. So when you have these templates and you really don't have an indicator of where to put the design, or you're not thinking about measurements, you're just going to try and fill up the whole thing. It might look great when you're looking at it as a digital format and you're seeing it, and that is flat. But we have to remember that these are not displayed. They're not worn flat. You will not see it. It will be behind their neck or like on their shoulder. So I've seen so many of them where their names are on there and you can't even read the names because it's going completely over the shoulder. So think about that when you are placing your design on there. The last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to the stoles and like when it comes to the different sizes is the width of it. Anything that you know that you want to make sure that no matter how you position your stole, that it's on there, you want to put that inside. You want to create a safe zone for yourself for that important information. And also if you're doing sublimation, you want to have a bleed. So when it comes to your bleed, you want to have just solid colors in there. Or you can have your picture. I don't know if any of these have it. I don't think I did any of these. So her picture is not like that. But if you look at the mascot, I was okay with that being cut off. So it went all the way to the edge. It was within the bleed section. But like for the pictures, I create a safe zone to where it goes inside so that if you pull it to the, if I would have did this, I'm seeing so many people, they're creating their stoles. And when I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, where's your bleed area? Because they'll have their pictures, they'll have the school name go right to the edge of, when they're designing it, like whatever shape they have or template that they have, it's going right to the edge. Well, if you got that template and they did not indicate that this was a bleed, this was the stole edge, and this is like, well, some people don't do safe zone, but at a very minimum, this is your bleed, this is your stole edge, and you put that to the edge, but that template was sized not for the exact stole, but for the bleed as well. Once you go to press it, you are going to cut off part of your images, you're going to cut off a lot of your words. It is best. I know some people think it's a waste of ink, it's a waste of paper. Whether you are creating it yourself or if you are buying a template from someone, the best thing that you can do for yourself is to print it out just with gray, like just in a gray tone. So you don't have to waste sublimation paper. You can use regular cardstock or regular, even cardstock. You can use a regular copy paper. You're simply going to pre-tape all of those papers together, like do like a 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch, like overlap, put, masking tape on the back, and you're going to print that out the same way you're going to print out your full-on design. You don't have to print these out and then tape it together afterwards and tile it together. For the stoles, because it's long, you can actually print this out as one big piece, even if you tape your papers together. But you're going to want to do that, and you can print it out. Just have it filled with gray or black, and then on your print settings, choose grayscale. You can even have it as draft so that it's really not putting down a lot of ink. You want to put your stole up against it. You want to make sure that when you have it there, it's going to be even all the way around. And you'll be able to tell then, before you go and do all this full-on designing, you go and you print it out, you go to put your stole on it, and oh my gosh, this doesn't fit. So you wasted a lot of paper and quite a bit of ink. But if you just take that few extra moments and print out the template, whether you have made it yourself or if you have purchased it, print it out, regular copy paper, put your stole there, see what adjustments need to be made. If it needs to come up at the top, then go back into your design software, extend that top portion, print it out again. It's better for you to print out and waste a little bit of black ink in grayscale and some copy paper versus printing it out on your good, honestly speaking, sublimation paper, using that good old, honestly speaking, sublimation ink, and damn it, now it doesn't fit. Or you go and like thinking, okay, well, I can make it fit, and then you go and press it and it looks cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So now you've wasted ink, paper, and a stole when you could have just taken a few moments and just printed out a draft of it to make sure that your template is going to line up with the stole that you have purchased. Okay. So I know that's a lot to digest. Any questions for me as it relates to stoles, the sizing of them, and things of that nature? So we can all, let me know, we can all agree, right? I wasn't telling a fib. I was very honest in the fact that stoles are not all created equal. There is a difference in the sizes and the styles. Did I do a good job of just of demonstrating that? Any questions for me? The 70-inch tapered one, like I said, I will be adding that one to the vault. I got to set it all up to be able to add it to the website, but I will add it to the vault. They really don't. They really don't. But I couldn't even tag them in this because I was muted in that group. So yeah. But if you guys ever come across it, like you guys are now, you now have the information. So if you come across a post that way, let them know. Like, some groups, a lot of groups now are created by people who have class, or they have their YouTubes and they want, the information to flow back to theirs. So maybe you cannot share the link, but, just kind of drop that little nugget that they're not the same, even if it's just, you have to know which one you have, because some have a curve, some don't, some are tapered, some are not. How can you use regular paper to test it out? So you're not pressing it. You're just going to use that just to see how it lines up. So you're not pressing your design at all. You're simply going to just print it out. And you also don't even have to print both sides. So you can, because your standard paper is going to be 8.5 by 11. So I showed a video with taping it together. And this is the same thing that you would do. If you don't have the roll of sublimation paper, you can just simply tape your sublimation your sublimation sheets of paper together, and it's going to create this long sheet. And you're going to just go ahead and print that as basically like a roll, because you'll go in and I've done the videos. I've shown how to change your print settings to where it's 47 inches long, so that it will account for all of it. So when you're just testing it out, when you're just testing it out, you don't have to print both sides. You can just, once you have your template, you set it up for 8.5 by either 36, 38, depending on what size stole you have. You'll put that there. You're going to print it out in grayscale. So, choose black and white, and it's just going to print it out. And you're just going to use that to make sure that your stole, you have even spacing, because if you're doing a sublimation one, you're going to want it to go all the way to the edge so that you have your bleed line and it doesn't leave white spaces. You never want to try and make your print the exact same size as your substrate, because everything can be different. Like, it doesn't matter. Even if you got them from the same vendor, maybe maybe the inseam was a little bit different. The way they pressed, they pressed it to flatten it out, maybe it was a little bit different. So you never want to create your print where it's going right to the edge. You always want to have a bleed area to it. You are so right about the sizing. I brought a couple with the border around it, and it takes away from the printable size as well. So, yes, it does. So here's one, and that's one of the reasons why. This was from 2020, I think. Yeah, this is from 2020, not 2021. 2021. But that's really one of the reasons why I actually did this as well. So I've done both. And depending on, and I actually just did some the other day that has a border on it. So it just really depends on it. It can take away from, I guess you could say, like the printable area or what's visible. So with this one, we were able to take up the whole thing. If this side had a border on it, of course, all of this would have had to be smaller. So on this side, I did it where I was able to take up the full, and look at this. Look at how, I don't know, I guess I was over a little too far. So on this side, her hand there's like a little gap, but then on this side, it's right to the edge. So, and actually on her name, actually no, the R and the S are about the same. But then when I did, if you don't know, they are double sided. Like, you can press both sides. So this was someone who had dual enrollment. She was graduating she actually did her college graduation first and then her high school one. So rather than make two separate stoles, both sides of it's all polyester. So we were able to sublimate both sides. And so she just wore this side and took her pictures when she graduated or got her, her thing from the college. And then for the high school side, it's like this. So on this side, It all depends, again, how you design. So this being in the middle, you just want to make sure that it goes in there. So of course, you would not be able to have all the way to the edge, but the trim also lends to the design of it as well. So it becomes a design element. Even if you're going to put the glitter along the trim, which I don't, some people go and they'll put actual HTV. That's a whole nother story. Like I know everyone has their way of doing things, and some people may see it as a waste, but for time's sake, if you're just doing the small strips, one, you can see where they're at. If it's one that's tapered, it's really hard. Like once you hit this curve, making that line up where you're not going to see the separation, and one is like a little bit off from the other, and then trying to get it to the edge, because sometimes the way that it's pressed, you'll actually, like how it's sewn, and once they press it, it's kind of weird. Like, so you're trying to go like to the edge, you actually have a little bit extra, because once it's pressed, it's more the back part. I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but some people put that on there. The 2 times that I did it with actual HTV, because they wanted that real shimmer, I literally took 36 inches of HTV and I made the strips and I put them down, and I used, at that time, I used an iron. Now I can use an easy press, but I used an iron back then, no steam. And I just put it on there, and then I just was moving it to make sure that it followed the whole thing instead of doing the strips. The strips takes longer, and you can see those lines of demarcation, like where it splits at. If you want to do it, I recommend getting a roll of that vinyl and then just cutting 36-inch strips, or however long your stole is. But yeah, it does, I guess you can say, take away from the printable area. So like here, I end up making her picture come to the outside, like, on top of the trim. So there's a lot of different things that you can do design wise. It just really depends on, the look that you are going for. And even with this one. So this one didn't have picture. So having the trim, and this also is a little bit wider. So putting the trim, you're still able to have the text really, really big on it. So you see how this is. So the trim didn't really, you still have a lot of real estate in the middle. A lot of real estate in the middle. I already have your template in both 60 and 70. Can't wait to test this out, as you said, with copy paper. Great information. You're welcome. If you have the Volt, the 72-inch no curve, and the 72-inch no curve is already there. The 70-inch, I'm going to call it 70-inch tapered no curve, will be in there, because I had to just do that one. You are very welcome. I had no choice but to do it. I'm like, and then I got to the end, and the little one was starting to make too much noise. And like literally, as soon as I hit in live, that boy was loud and all this stuff. So I ended at the perfect time. So it's hard to do the Mac ones because we only have a Mac at the house, and normally the kids are home. You are very welcome. All right. So seeing the numbers kind of fluctuate. Last call, any questions? And just as a quick review, what we went over today was just discussing that all stoles are not created equal. There is a difference to them, and you cannot always just use a rectangle for your template. And like, some people say you don't need a template, just measure it top to bottom and whatnot. So with my template, I've designed some, which I actually have one to do this year as well, to where on the back part, so that when you're looking at it from the back, the words read correctly. So you just rotate it. So because I know exactly where that cutoff is, I had words that went like this way and this way. So when it's like this, it reads the correct way. And that's what you're able to do, things like that when you have a template. If you're doing sublimation, if you're doing HTV, of course, you can just position that. But when you're doing sublimation, it's best, in my professional opinion, it is best to have an exact template to make sure that everything falls where it needs to go. So this is a 72-inch. This still has a taper to it, but it doesn't have a curve. This is 72. This is a 70 tapered, no curve. And as you can see, it's wider. The 72 one is wider. So if you set it up for a 72, but your stole was just a 70, it's going to cut off. Like once you go to press it, you're going to lose part of your design, like more of the design than you anticipated. And if you have a trim on it, it's not going to line up. It's going to be very, very skinny in certain parts. So this was a 70 versus a 72. So you can tell at the bottom. So if you designed it and you made it to where, like, let's say it went down here, look at how much of that is cut off. Okay. And then you have, this is a 70 curve. So there's a big dip in the neck area, which I prefer this kind because it gives you like a clear indicator of where you need to start your design, because you know the curve is for the neck and for the back. So once you get about here, this on down is for the front. Now, if you are not going to do a full stole, like you're not going to have your color come way up here, and you're just going to kind of have your design come, or you don't have a background to it, you're just going to leave the rest of this white and there's no background to it, you can make a rectangle and just kind of do, so you'll measure from across here, measure from the top to the bottom, and then just design within that rectangle. You can do it that way as well. But this is different. So you can see how it curves, and you can see the other ones coming out through there. So a rectangle will not work for the ones with the curved neck. So that's what we went over today. Do I teach how to create your own stole template? So yes and no. So I have outlined it and I've talked about it. Do I have a full on video that goes through it, like on my YouTube channels? No. In my class where I talk about templates, I did somewhat, I think I showed my one for that one, because I basically scan it. So I'll tell you all day long, but do I have a free video on it? No, I do not. If that is something that you guys are interested in and really seeing like how I create all of these templates, like from scanning it and tracing it and setting it all up, that is something that, you know, I'll be very transparent. That would be a paid class. It's not something I would do because I've talked about it. Now, if you just kind of piece the puzzle together, what you do is you're going to scan it. I will say that there is a specific way that it is scanned so that I know how to line them up. I think I may have mentioned a video, a free video, just don't know which one it is. But I scan it, and there is some prep work that I do to the stole, or certain, like even if it's a really large item, I do a little bit of prep work. I'll just tell you, it involves tape. And I scan it. I scan it in sections. I bring it into Silhouette Studio, and then I line it up. This is where that little circle that some of you guys cannot stand, the center of rotation, that comes in handy for this. So you basically, you know, use that and you line it up. Once you have it lined up, you're going to do a trace on it. Once you have the trace on it, then you will do all of your stuff for your different trims. So if you know how to work it, those are all the steps, just not full on visual step by step. It's okay. It's okay. Some may deem this as being a petty live, but I mean, for me, it really is informational because people just don't know. And if you don't know, I'd rather you get the information and hopefully at some point I will be able to either comment or I can't even inbox the person that asked the question because they posted it as an anonymous post. So I don't know who posted it to even like let them know. And the person who challenged me, it's not even worth it to go back and forth. Hey, you believe what you believe. But I wanted to make sure that in case any of my audience or anybody else that had that question, or if you ran into this issue, that I provided a detailed video for you to understand that they're not all created equal. You know, depending on where you purchase it from. Like we have a set of stoles that are coming in. Like I said, hopefully they're here by Saturday. If not, they should be here like Monday or Tuesday. Because I have quite a few stole orders and I ordered a bunch. So there'll be some on our website as well. It's limited amounts of them, but we'll have some on the website as well, both 70 and 60s. And when they come, guess what? I don't care about all the other templates. I'm going to go and I'm going to make sure that I do the same process and I create templates for it. And this will be, it'll be like this is for the HS Ink stoles. If you purchase a stole from us, you will get that baseline template. So, okay. So what I'll probably do is once ours comes in, since I will have to do it anyway, when I get the tracking, hopefully I get the tracking number. Well, I have once the tracking is updated and I know what day it's going to be here, I'm going to do it that same day because I've set up my design, but I may have to like move things around if those are a little bit different than how my template is set up. So whenever those come in, since I'm going to have to create the template anyway, I will set up a class then to show you guys exactly what it is that I do to create those. And it will help you in the future for any templates that you create. I did the way I did the template for this is also how I did the template for shirts. People ask about all over shirt templates. Well, I use a certain type of shirt and I made an exact template for the type of shirt and the brand of shirt that I use, which is Team 365 and Sports Tech. And they have V-necks for the ladies cut. I think a lot of them kind of just account for unisex. And I find that a lot of the templates or the template that people use, they don't really like, some necklines are higher, they're lower. And when I ran into that and you kind of put your design and the head gets cut off, like it's really, really cut off, that was driving me absolutely berserk. So I'm like, I ain't got time for this. I don't know why I'm relying on people's templates. Like I like to create my own. So I end up creating my own template for the Team 365 and the Sports Tech shirts. And it's kind of the same thing. Like that took a lot of time. Because it's a big old shirt. So having to do it in sections to make sure that you're accounting for all the edges, like it was team too much. It was team a lot to do those. And then you're talking about all these different sizes. So yeah, it was a lot to do those templates. What happened? Oh, no, it was for a good reason. It was for a good reason with me doing the live video. It was for a good reason. I was going to say what I did now, but it's probably because I'm live. And I'm going to give you a fair warning. I will be live again because I'm about to do these tumblers. And I saw some folk who are still struggling with seams and ghosting. So as many times I can do the example of the tumblers, I will do it. So come right on back if you want to see me do these. I actually just created these. Once again, me and my petty post. So I was like, these teachers don't want no more tumblers and mugs. And then a teacher, she wanted for her daughter's teacher. She was like, okay, yeah, but I like tumblers. She's like, I know for sure these teachers don't have tumblers. Because I'm saying, well, get her something that like they like. And then she actually found the list and she's like, oh, well, one of the teachers did say she likes lemon Oreos. So I created one instead of Nabisco. It has the teacher's name. And then my student today, I learned from my students. I love it when my students can pour into me as well. So when she came over to, do the stole and us walk through how to do the stole, I was like, man, the the cookie, I didn't want to put sandwich cookies on there, but I wanted to have the same feel. And so she saw one and it was saying, I think I'm like something like you helped me to be a smart cookie or something. So I just put educator of sweet smart cookies because it's just in general as far as, and then the year, which I think I actually have this too low. We're gonna see, but see, I learned from my students as well. Y'all pour into me as much as I pour into y'all. So I'm actually about to do this one. So I did the Oreos for one teacher, and then this is made to look like a jar of M&Ms. But because I made my post about they don't want these things with school supplies that you did not give all year, I was like, eh. So on this one, I did make the middle part look like a composition notebook instead of just the regular label that's on the jar. So this is gonna be really cool and fun to make. So come back if you want to see me make this. All right. I know I like golden and lemon as well. Shakia, quick question, please. My Silver 3 is acting wonky, not printing in some sections. Your perspective, would you get the Cameo for the Juliet cutting machine? So if it's not printing, so printing and cutting are two different things. So that's always kind of weird when people say it's not printing, but they're really talking about cutting. If it's not cutting in a certain area, it's probably your mat or your cutting strip, and you don't need a whole new machine. The 4 and the Juliet, I mean, for me, the Juliet never would have served me any purpose because I don't have an issue with any of my cameos, and I like Silhouette Studio. Now, the Romeo, totally different beast, just in the way it's constructed. So if I was getting that one, but as far as a 4 or a Juliet, I mean, I'm a cameo girl when it comes to 12-inch machines, but if you want the bigger one, I do think the Romeo is like spot on. All right, so let me get off of here. Don't forget to visit the website, shop.hsink365.com. Go to HSINK Digital. All of our graduation templates are there. I think there's a link that on the description that goes right to the grad collection. If you have our template vault, we've added some things to that, and the 72-inch no curve has been added, and I'm going to add the 70-inch no curve. And then once the ones that HS Ink has purchased as far as stoles, that will be in the vault as well. Okay. Yes, yours is on the way. So yours was an example of one where it was created with one, like your template was created with the curve style, but I was actually out of the curve style. So when I got the other ones, I had to rearrange it. So they're not all created equal. All right, y'all. Until next time, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity. Be incredible. If you are still having trouble with your tumblers, be sure to come on back. Or if you're watching the playback of this, I'm going to, at the end of it, try to add the card to this one that links to this video. But if not, just check out, just search Honestly Speaking Sublimation tumblers, and then you're going to look for the thumbnail that shows these. All right. So, peace.